Welcome back to Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. This is Camryn Connor. Today I'm going to be with some very special guests, editor of Tiger Rag, Todd Horne, and the news and sports director for Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo. Today we'll just be going over our predictions for this Saturday's game for LSU against Alabama. I'm just hoping there's no cat fights that break out over this one today, guys. I want to thank our sponsor, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars. That's pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267.
Hey neighbors, we're not that far from where you are. Make that short drive to Pawpaw's Campers in Picayune and see our Wildwood, Catalina, Sportsman, and Zinger trailer lines and our Rockwood and Heritage Glen fifth wheel lines. From Houma to Hammond, Biloxi to Jackson, and Mobile and Pensacola, we're not that far from where you are. Come and see us.
You're gonna love the way we deal. Pawpaw's Camper City and Picayune. You're gonna love the way we deal.
That's a good RV, Pawpaw.
Hey guys, this is Camryn and I'm back with Todd and Jeff. Today we're just going to go over the excitement about this weekend. Of course, everybody knows LSU versus Alabama. I'm pretty excited about it. Just wanted to get y'all's ideas on what y'all think is going to be happening this weekend.
You're predicting Alabama, right?
I am predicting the Alabama-LSU game. I think LSU is going to win.
Oh, so you're predicting LSU.
Yes.
Okay.
I know there is a 3-point spread with Alabama in the lead, but I love an underdog.
Is it down to 3? It opened at like 4.5.
I think it is down to 3.
I guess some people are paying attention to the statistics.
I'm hoping everybody's paying attention to the statistics. I am thinking, 3-point spread seems better than a 4-point spread, so let's go with that for the sake.
Are you laying down any money? Yeah, that's what this is all about.
Okay, well, I'll put down a little money. Maybe I'll just bring you guys some gumbo because it is cold outside. That'll be the money I put down.
Good gumbo. She makes good gumbo.
But, I'll just start it with this. I guess my question is Alabama's offense going to be good enough this weekend? They average about 27.3 points per game if you're counting their big 3 games. They had Texas, they lost to Texas. We have Ole Miss, Tennessee. Both of those games, they were slow starter games with Alabama, so I do think that'll be a thing. But also, the question is, can Alabama score 30 points on LSU? Because LSU's proved in every single game, except for the Florida State game, that they can get to 30 points.
You want to go first, Jeff?
There's a lot there to unpack. My feeling is Alabama is going to have a good day offensively on Saturday. It's just hard to not think that LSU is going to struggle in the defensive secondary with what they have at cornerback, considering what Alabama has with their wide receivers. No, there's no Devontae Smith there. There's no Jerry Jeudy, but they have some really good wide receivers that I think LSU's corners, at least the ones that are going to be lining up out there. Sage Ryan, and I love Sage Ryan, but he's playing out of position. And LaTerrence Welch, I think, could be a good corner, but he's not there yet. So I think Alabama's going to have a good day offensively. But are they going to have a better day than LSU offensively is the question.
But why do you – that is a good question. But why do you think it's Welch at cornerback?
You think it might be Ashton Stamps?
I think it's definitely going to be Ashton Stamps.
It could be Ashton Stamps.
I'm not saying Welch won't play.
Either. Well, let me just say this. If it's LaTerrence Welch or Ashton Stamps, I think both of those guys could be good cornerbacks before they're done here at LSU, but they're not at that point yet.
Right. But I think I give more confidence to Ashton Stamps.
Well, you might, but it's not by much. It's not like –
No, it's you're right. It's neither one of them should be starting.
Right.
Where is Denver Harris? Where is Deuce Chestnut?
They may be in the next room. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I will also say this. I do think that getting back to the discussion of Alabama's offense, I think they have, just like you see with a lot of teams, when you're, especially in Alabama's case, right? New offensive coordinator, new quarterback, and a lot of other new pieces. it has taken them a while to figure out their identity, to figure out what they're good at, and I think they have. And I think the bye week even makes them more dangerous offensively in this game because you can add a few wrinkles here. And I think Alabama should be able to score 30 or more points against LSU.
All right. I'm going to take a different stance on this. I do think that LSU's defensive secondary is definitely their weak spot, and they're vulnerable. But I think that the Alabama-LSU game every year is won in the trenches. Mm-hmm. And I think LSU's offensive line is every bit as good as Alabama's defensive line, which is not a bad defensive line, but LSU's offensive line is very good. I think that if the key is for LSU's offense to continue to be that high-grade machine that they've been most of this season, is to be able to stop Alabama's pass rush. Because I think LSU is going to be able to run the ball. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be able to pass the ball. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be able to catch the ball. I think Brian Thomas is going to be able to catch the ball. I think the challenge for Alabama is to put enough pressure on Jaden Daniels to disrupt the passing game. And I think in order to do that, their best bet is for Nick Saban to pull out some of his 50 blitzes and try and put LSU to shame that way. And I don't think it's going to be successful. All right? I think that LSU is going to be prepared for that. I think LSU's offensive line is experienced enough and talented enough to be able to manage that. I think Jaden Daniels is able to read that pre-snap enough to where LSU is going to force Alabama, like they have every other team they've played this year with the exception of Florida State, for about 17 minutes into situations where they're going to have to play gadgety type of defenses, double teaming Malik Neighbors, going man free, things like that, and LSU's going to be able to run the ball too. So I think offensively, if LSU is able to contain the blitz and keep the pressure off of Jaden Daniels, that LSU's offense is going to have their typical day.
Oh, I agree with that. I think LSU is going to have a big day offensively too.
On the defensive side for LSU, admitting that the defensive backfield is vulnerable, especially the cornerback, I think it's all going to come down to how you mentioned Alabama taking advantage of the 2 weeks, the bye week, and the preparation. I think Mr. Pete Jenkins and that defensive line, going back to the game being won in the trenches, if they're able to stop what has been a pedestrian offense in Alabama, just at the line of scrimmage, enough to put pressure on Milroe, who's been sacked 35 times.
Leads the SEC.
Yeah. So if LSU's defensive line is able to curtail the running game, keep Alabama from being able to elongate the game because they're going to try to make it a longer game, drive. They don't want to score explosively because they can't play in a shootout with LSU, and they know that. So they're going to try to have sustained drives, which is going to depend on the running game, and it's going to depend on them also keeping Milroe safe in the pocket. Their entire passing game this year, what little of it it's been, and I know people are talking about how great Jermaine Burton is. He's got 508 yards receiving, which is almost his career high. All right, so he's in his fourth year. All right, he has 40 catches this year, which is 17 more catches than he's had at any other year, but it's only for 508 yards. So you're looking at that's like Kyron Lacey this year. LSU's got two receivers that have more than 500 more yards combined receiving than he does. They don't have their typical strong running game. There is no Derrick Henry back there. There is
Trent Richardson.
yeah,
No Trent Richardson.
yeah. They're not the same team. And LSU's offense, just statistically match up. LSU's offense averages more than 100 something yards passing, more than they do per game, and rushing, LSU averages 30 more yards rushing per game than Alabama does. And they've played basically the same schedule. I mean, I know they're different teams, but quality of schedule. So why does everybody think that the bye week is going to benefit Alabama more than it's going to benefit LSU?
I go back to, I think it's LSU has had a, for the most part, other than a bad stretch in the third quarter against Florida State, LSU has known its identity on offense. LSU is they know what they want to do on offense. I think it's taken a while for Alabama to get there. I don't think we've seen the best of an Alabama offense,
Okay.
and you might see it on Saturday.
Okay.
But LSU offensively, still, no one. To me, the only team that can stop LSU offensively is themselves.
And an ability to contain a blitz.
Right. If they look. Now here's the thing: Florida State's defensive line is much better than Alabama's defense.
I agree with that.
And LSU offensive line, that first game, they looked a little bewildered. You could tell it was the first game. I think they've figured out all those things. It's been other than Emory Jones not starting last game, it's been the same five guys out there for the most part, with Lance Hurd subbing in, and then of course Turner got hurt in the Missouri game, but they figured that out. It's a really good group. I think it's better than the 19 offensive line. I don't even think it's even a question. So I think LSU offensively kind of knows what they can do. I just think Alabama, there's another level there, and the bye week probably will help them achieve that.
Okay. And I understand logically.
Yeah.
All right. But I think if LSU's defensive line is able to thwart Alabama's running game and pressure Milroe, and Kelly can stand toe-to-toe with Nick Saban, and that's what I think this game comes down to. Because I think personnel-wise, LSU's clearly the better team, even though they have so much vulnerability in the secondary. I think it's coming down to Kelly versus Saban, and I'm going to bank on Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I also think, the question of a bye week, if that's going to be better for Alabama than it is for LSU, wouldn't the bye week be better for LSU? Because we have a whole defense that has had a bye week to get prepared for this. The freshmen are playing at elite level. They got into LSU because they are elite athletes.
You sound just like Kelly, because that's exactly what Kelly says. He's like, oh, these are guys that are ready to play. Well, if they were so good, they would have been playing all along, and they hadn't been.
Well, they're also freshmen. We also need to put that into question. They are freshmen, but we're confident.
Welch isn't a freshman, to your point. Welch is not a freshman, and Welch, when last seen, gave up 120 yards passing.
Did not have a good game against Ole Miss.
Right. So, and that's the last time he stepped on the field was the Ole Miss game. And I don't think he was injured. I think it was because of his performance. And I'm just speaking blunt.
Well, do you remember whenever Milroe had to step out for the next game? I think it was after Texas, where they lost, and then Saban took him out the game.
That was some Jedi mind tricks that Saban was playing.
I don't think Saban's playing in the Star Wars level of this game. Come on now.
Well, no, I think he was in that game. I think he was like, if we can't beat South Florida with Miss Terry playing quarterback, I don't think we can. And they almost didn't, by the way. But I think that proved to everybody on the team, I believe in this, that Milroe should their quarterback, their best bet. He's not a good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. He's a good athlete, but he's not a good quarterback.
especially in comparison to Daniels. I mean, Daniels' stats are almost double of all of his. Come on.
Daniels is in a different world. But I'm just talking about Milrose being a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. Jeff seems to think that over the bye week he's going to metamorphosize into
Jeff.
a great quarterback.
I'm not saying that, but to say he can throw for 225, 250 yards in this game.
And that would be the season high because he hadn't done it all year.
And that's just because it's this LSU defense.
Well,
this is not a
that's why my point is if LSU's defensive line under Pete Jenkins, who knows Nick Saban as well as anybody, okay, is if he can instill a strong technique, strong disciplined defensive line that's staying low, Mason Smith stays low, they're going to miss Wingo. All right, LSU's going to miss Wingo. Jordan Jefferson has been playing well. The defensive ends, the kid from Texas, his name escapes me. I'm sorry right now. He's done really well. Spates to me and Perkins, but switch gears. On the defensive side, I don't think we talk about Perkins and how great he is. Dallas Turner has 7 sacks this year for Alabama. And he's, to me, like their version of Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, one of the biggest challenges for LSU. But I do have confidence in LSU's offensive line.
Along with Chris Braswell, who's been outstanding for them. They've been good. I think this is a good defense. I think Florida State presented more of a, certainly on the defensive line, present more of an issue for LSU.
So it comes down to this. To me, if Alabama is able to move the ball down the field and maintain possession and put together sustained drives and shorten the game, okay, they have a chance. If they're not able to do that, they don't have a chance because LSU is going to be able, the more times Jaden Daniels touches the ball, the more times LSU is going to score. And Saban knows that.
Yes, I think for Alabama this is tough because I think they want to establish the running game, but you also want to test LSU where its weakness spot. And a big strength for Alabama this season has been the big play through the air. You want to capitalize on that as well.
But think about the LSU-Missouri game as an example. Okay, let's say that Alabama has 6 possessions the first half. Okay, and they score on 3 long passes because they're burning the secondary and they're able to escape it. You think LSU is going to be able to score 3 touchdowns in the first half?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's a shootout.
Oh, it's in LSU's favor big time.
Right. So Alabama, Saban is not going to, as much as he may want a 30-yard touchdown pass or a 40-yard touchdown pass, and he thinks he can burn Ashton Stamps or LaTerrence Welch for that, or even Sage Ryan, he's not going to opt for that unless he absolutely has to.
Well,
and that's if it's a shootout. I'm not saying he's not going to take it if it's there.
If it's there, they're going to take it.
Yeah.
And if they think, and who knows, they're at home. They just as much as I think LSU's defensively, just as much as LSU has gained confidence, I think this Alabama offense has gained confidence.
Well, it's late in the season, and this is for all the marbles. Yeah. And but I still think LSU has the advantage, and I think it really does come down to coaching. And I think Kelly can stand toe to toe with him for the second year. So I'm predicting that it'll go into overtime, and that on the first play of overtime during LSU's possession, Jaden Daniels will run for a 25-yard touchdown.
Isn't that what he kind of did last year?
Then he's going to hit Mason Taylor on a 2-point conversion, and they'll win the game. No. Actually, what do you think? See, in all seriousness, we need to wrap up, but in all seriousness, what do you think? The over-under 60.
It's going to go over.
You think it's going over?
It's going over.
Alabama doesn't want it to go over.
No, but it's going over.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a shootout, and it's going to play in LSU's favor.
Okay. All right. So,
So
we're all in agreement.
that go Tigers for the weekend.
Go Tigers. We're just talking about football here. We're not cheerleaders, remember?
Well, we're all okay. Fine, roll Tide, roll. To make it fair for everybody, that just feels illegal for me to say. In all seriousness, but I'm happy we're all in agreement. I think the team with the better quarterback is going to pull.
Yes.
I think LSU is going to pull. It'll be a quick game. But
No, it's going to be a CBS night game. It won't be quick. But to hit on your point, Camryn, they have the better quarterback. And you look.
LSU has the better
Yes,
quarterback.
yes.
So when you say they,
Yeah, but see, I don't say we. I say LSU has the better quarterback. And if you look at every game, whoever has the better quarterback or has better quarterback play wins this game.
so Jaden Daniels will become only the second quarterback ever to beat Nick Saban in 2 consecutive years.
under Drew Brees, whenever he played at Purdue, right?
Rex Grossman.
I've heard the Rex Grossman thing. I don't
in
know.
03, in 03 certainly beat him. And I want to say in 02.
Well, what happened to, you're saying at LSU?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that maybe that's. Okay.
I think somebody needs
So that's
to
a
fact check
malformed
that.
research. Okay,
Yeah,
whatever. Not too many quarterbacks have beaten Nick Saban 2 years in a row, and I think we're all in agreement that Jaden Daniels will likely be one of those elite few.
Here's what stops LSU. Drop passes, obviously penalties, turnovers, and then obviously just getting somehow torched even more than I think they can possibly get torched in the defensive secondary.
And I agree with you, and they have shown a penchant for getting penalized a couple of times this year, especially when they started to try to play more aggressive, talking about LSU. They're not necessarily a turnover-laden
No,
team.
they're not. But they've had the case of the dropsies.
They have had the case of the dropsies.
And my fear is 3rd and 7. Jaden Daniels lays it in there to Brian Thomas on a 15-yard pass play, and he drops it.
I think you
And
need to
then
go see a therapist and come to terms with those fears because you have absolutely no control over it.
But you can't envision that? That's going to happen.
No, I don't want to think about that.
Don't
type
speak
of
it into
stuff.
existence.
Yeah, what do you
Why would you do
Hey,
that?
Earlier in the year, I've been talking about a Jaden Daniels injury. I've at least backed
Hey,
off of that.
yeah, back
Don't
off.
say that today.
You almost brought that into existence in the Missouri game.
So I'm no longer focused on
Look,
Jaden Daniels getting hurt.
Jeff-
I'm focused on the hands of LSU's receivers.
I got another one for you, and you probably haven't heard it yet, but the current Tiger Rag Audibles podcast that's out right this second, Camryn has outlined the entire path since the college football playoffs came out as to how LSU is not only going to beat Alabama, but they're going to win the rest of their games, win the SEC West, win the SEC championship, make the playoffs, and win the national championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is hopeful, and I am biased, but I do think LSU will make it to the college playoffs just the way they did in 2007 with the BCS championship. And fingers crossed, and my toes are crossed, national championship in the horizon for LSU.
Anyway, last thing. All right.
Last thing. Okay, guys.
Last thing. Heisman statement for Jaden Daniels?
Oh, yes. Yes. And it'll be interesting. You have on the West Coast this week, you got Caleb Williams and USC taking on Michael Penix and Washington. The Heisman could easily be decided Saturday.
So, for Jaden Daniels,
I take Michigan's quarterback out of there.
yeah,
I can't. When you're playing the Mid-American Athletic Conference every freaking game,
yeah.
I can't. I just they got 2 games against ranked teams, Penn State and Ohio State. So he still has an opportunity to make his case. But so far, it is such a weak schedule for Michigan. I can't I can't wrap my head around that right now.
So in his heart of hearts, do you think Jaden Daniels would rather Caleb Williams have a great game and beat Washington, or do you think he would rather him have a sluggish game?
I don't know if he's even thought about it.
Yeah, I hope he's not. Let's not think about it. All right, score time, and then let's go.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to say that it'll be around like 32 to like 28 or something, LSU.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think Alabama's going to score more than 30.
Okay.
I like LSU to win 41-35.
No OT?
No, I don't think so. I don't think any OT.
All right, so that's 76, and you had 61 or 62.
60, I thought. So you said 32-28?
Mm-hmm.
That's 60.
I think LSU is going to win 38-17.
Whoa.
I like those odds. All right. Well, let's end it on that. Thank you guys for coming
17.
in. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Jeff. I hope you'll have a good
What
rest
road
of
are you
your
living
stay.
in?
Stay warm.
Yes, I will. It'll be a great Saturday night.
Enjoy the game tomorrow, guys.
And we'll make sure we keep this clip whenever he says, what world am I living in? Whenever we come back and it's 38-17, we'll talk about it.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
People come from everywhere to Pawpaw's Campers and Cars.
All at Pawpaw's Campers and Shit is Pawpaw's Campers and Cars of people. And we're going to let it go for I forgot. Take the whole family over to Picayune. We got something for you. All right. What else we going to say? PawpawsNicePrice.com. That's probably all we need to say.
All right. Well, that's it for today's podcast. I hope you all found that one fun to listen to. It was definitely fun to be a part of and to kind of touch base with the guys and see what they're thinking is going to happen. I'm happy to report that there were no cat fights that broke out over this topic. We're all on the same team thinking. I'm hoping Todd's right with that 38-17 win for LSU. I want to thank the editor of Tiger Rag, Todd Horne, and the news and sports director for Louisiana Radio Network, Jeff Palermo, for joining me today. Thanks again for listening today. I hope y'all are tuned in for tomorrow at 6:45 sharp to watch LSU beat Alabama in Bryant-Denny Stadium. I would like to thank the sponsor, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars. That's pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267. Bye, guys.